Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. We are still on location in Aberdeen, Maryland at the Ripken Experience during the Baseball for All Girls National Tournament, and I'm joined now with Alex Oglesby, who is a coach for the U.S. Women's National Team, but this week, more importantly, coaching Evolution Baseball, who's headed to the championship of the 1900 division. So, Alex, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Cool. So, before we get into the deep stuff, let's talk real quick about your game. You had a little bit of a thriller there. You were up 6-3, and sooner you find yourself in a 6-6 tie and got a little sloppy there. How'd you like the way the girls responded?
I loved how they responded. I didn't like the bad inning, but it's always how you respond to adversity, right? And, I truly rather have the girls pushed and challenged and have a good competition out here than, blowing teams out of the water every time. I think the girls grow and learn more when we can do that. So I was really proud of the Monarchs and how they played. We always talk about, you can't overlook game one, right? We were playing game one today, and thankfully we're also playing game two now. But you've always got to take it one at a time, and so I'm so thankful the girls understand that, and they came back and pulled through. So it was a great game, and tip my hat to what the Monarchs played today.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in baseball. So you did play on the U.S. Women's National Team. You're now a coach, kind of in pause mode due to COVID yet. But even before the women's national team, what's your baseball story? How did it become part of your life? A pretty big part of your life, obviously.
It's been a huge part of my life, absolutely. I started off actually playing shadow softball. I did that highly competitively, until basically through high school. But when I got to high school, we didn't have a girls softball program. So kind of the opposite of what happens these days, right? But I just said, I'm going to go, I want to stay in shape, so I'm going to go and play on the boys team. And I did. And at first I just played second base. They didn't want me to catch. They were afraid that, this little blonde girl was going to get hurt. So I ended up coming in a game. Just, I asked my coach enough times, and he finally let me come in and catch. There was a huge play at the plate. I got the guy out, came up looking for the next play, and everybody's freaking out that I got hurt. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
This is what I do.
Yeah,
I'm a catcher.
Exactly. So from that point on, he's like, okay, you're fine. So I ended up being the starting catcher for my high school team from my sophomore year through, and I just fell in love with the game of baseball. For me, the game of softball is great, and I think it's a great game for those who want to play it. For me, there was so much more to catching as a baseball catcher at the time, and I loved that. So it just captured my heart, and so I actually turned down some scholarships for softball, and I'm sure my parents wanted to kill me, but they just trusted in my decision. 2 weeks after, declaring I was not playing softball anymore, there was a women's professional league that started, and I got the invite to come try out for that. And I did. I was actually just 17 at the time, and they said it had to be 18 and over, but they said just come out anyway. So I did, fully, expecting to be turned down. And they said, we're going to change it to high school graduates, which I already was. And so I got to play as the youngest player in the Ladies Professional Baseball League. And had to have my parents, sign my contract and everything. So that was an incredible experience. Through that, I met a lot of wonderful people who then led me to playing tournaments and then eventually with USA Baseball. So it was an experience that I'll never forget, and a decision that might have been crazy at the time, but I don't regret a second of it.
Yeah, that's cool. So talk a little bit about the transition then from player to coach. And, obviously as a catcher, I was a catcher as well. You are part of the coaching staff, really.
Right.
So I found the best coaches, not to toot my own horn as well, generally are catchers.
Yeah,
So,
you have a different perspective on the game from that player.
Yeah, so how did, what made you want to get involved in coaching and start giving back?
Sure. I've always been one. I love giving back. I think it's top of the list for me. I started coaching girls softball because I thought that's where the opportunity would be for me to coach, and I had fun definitely doing that early on. Right out of high school and through college I was coaching high school softball and whatnot, and I love that, and I love the relationship that you make with the girls and the impact that you can have. I also went to school to be a teacher, so it's just kind of something I really enjoy, just passing that on and seeing others grow through that. But when Baseball for All first started and had the first tournament in Florida, I heard about it and I called up my longtime friend and teammate, Michelle Henley, Rocky as we know her, and just said, hey, there's this thing going on. You want to get a team together and go? And neither of us have girls. We both have boys. So, I was like, sure, why not? And she worked for San Francisco Park and Rec. They'd sponsor a team. We put it together. And for those girls, it was the first time ever playing with a group of girls. They had all been playing with boys. And I tell you what, that tournament, at that point, there was no way I was ever not coaching. It was an experience that with these girls, to be able to offer them that, to see them, the amount of growth that they had from day one and through, and that's the core of the team that we have now 7 years later is still from that same team that we started then.
So they were 12 and under then?
Yes. Yeah, 12 and under, so now 19 and under. And so I've just continued to coach all through, and obviously once USA Baseball and MLB started offering the camps and clinics for girls, getting to be involved with that was an absolute honor. And so I've been really thankful for the opportunities that we have.
Yeah, that's cool. So you've been able to see this tournament evolve from a small event to 42 teams here this week, over 500 girls. For you to see it, this is my first time here because when I was running our complex, I couldn't get away. So much more than what I even expected. But for you to see that evolution,
That's the name, right?
What's it? What was it like?
Oh, I love it. I love that these girls, have so many stories of playing with other girls and getting to see. Now that we have all the different divisions, the younger ones can look up and see the older ones. Even with Team USA and they know it's there, they don't necessarily get to see them play, so they don't know the quality of play that's there. And so for them to actually get to come to the games and to see these older girls play and to have a goal and to be able to dream bigger, when you see it, then you start understanding, like, I can actually do this. When they go home and they might be playing in their own little leagues, some of them might be being told go to softball, there's no chance. So for them to have the opportunity to see it continue and to see all these girls that are doing this with them, I think it's amazing. So I hope it continues to grow in the exponential way that it has been over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and obviously the pace that it's growing at right now is huge. I think that's a big deal. And as far as future opportunities, obviously you got the national team that you're coaching, but there's now talk of another women's professional league that I talked to several people about already that Sue Zippe is putting together. How important do you think that is that these girls have a goal to potentially play professional baseball?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there is so much going on right now in girls baseball, and it's extremely exciting. I think in girls sports in general too, but specifically in girls baseball, we're seeing a lot of movement. And having that professional league for them to look to, I guess it's having the opportunity for the older girls who hit 18, hit 19. Where do they go next, right? And some of them do go and play college softball, and they make great, incredible softball players coming from baseball. But if they want to still play baseball, and that's where their love is, they should have the opportunity. And we're seeing so many girls playing college baseball now, coaching college baseball, and so on, right? They need to have the opportunity to continue playing somewhere else. So providing a professional opportunity for them is huge, not just to be able to say, hey, I'm doing that, but to make it available for them, to have the training, to have the coaching, and to have the time to commit to getting better. And I think when I see these girls that are starting to play baseball and they stay with it all the way through, you see how they compare, and not apples to apples to the boys, but you see how if they're given the opportunity, they can truly excel and they can become extremely good baseball players. So we just need to keep providing the opportunities for them.
And I think those opportunities are so many, like, even just, I think Justine securing this facility for this tournament this year is definitely a notch up, not a knock on any of the other facilities she was at, but, when your girls saw this facility, what do you think was going? I mean, have they expressed like, wow, man, this place is pretty awesome, or?
This place is really cool, and our girls have been a little spoiled, I have to say. They've gotten to play in some really nice places. Thank you to USA Baseball, MLB for putting together the things that they do, because I tell you what, the girls that are getting to play now are truly so incredibly lucky to get to play what they do. And not to sound too old, but gosh, when we were playing, we didn't have that, right? So we constantly try to remind them, like, we're pretty lucky to be here. But yeah, these fields, they've all loved playing on the fields that we've gotten to play on. Being older, we've had to play off, outside of just the complex itself, and that field was a gorgeous college field. So they absolutely are impressed. But what's neat about it all being in one space, again, is that the girls get to see each other. We've been in, Rockford was a really neat field to play on just because, the Rockford Peaches played there, right? So it had that historical, sentimental value. But we weren't all in one place. So you don't get the intermingling, you don't get the interaction. We're here with everybody together. We can go right now, my girls are in between games, they're cheering on for a younger team right now and go into, watch them play. So you get to really create those relationships that I think are hugely important in sports.
Yeah, I think that is huge. And I think that's where a complex like this, where everybody's at the same location throughout the weekend or the week, is really, really important. It's like you said, you just build up. I mean, I saw younger girls down there watching you guys in your game, and they're looking at those older girls. They're like, I've got another step. I'm not at the end of the ladder. So that is really, really cool. So again, just talking about some of the stuff you've done with MLB, the Grit Series, Trailblazer Series. How important do you think that is, that MLB is actually finally starting to recognize girls baseball, boys baseball, and girls softball as three different sports?
Oh, it's so hugely important. I mean, I know that there's a bigger audience with girls softball, absolutely, but you've got so many girls that go on the baseball track and that get told, oh, sorry, this isn't for you. And I don't think we should be putting any girl in that box, anybody in that box, in any realm, right? So, you get a girl who wants to play baseball. Why do we have to change sports? There's no reason why a soccer player is going to go play lacrosse, right? Sure, there's similarities, there's great opportunities, absolutely, but why can't we make those opportunities in baseball? So the fact that MLB is putting behind, some money and some programs to support these girls is huge, and so I've seen the sport grow immensely since they've started doing that, and I think that coincides with what Baseball for All is doing for these girls and hosting this tournament. But a lot of these girls, knowing both and being able to have the opportunity to get coached by, USA Baseball players and connect the dots there is a big advantage for them too. So just the support alone means world to these girls and to us.
Yeah, I can believe that for sure. Because again, the one common theme of everyone I've talked to this week is, again, this isn't about baseball versus softball.
Right.
This is about, if a girl wants to play baseball, let her play baseball. If she wants to play softball, let her play softball. And I think that's really the common thread of everybody I've talked to, is like, this isn't anything against softball, but they are two different games. Softball's a great game, but it's different.
Right. And people say all the time, but there's so many more opportunities in softball. Well, that's fine. There didn't used to be,
right,
and there is now, right? So why can't girls baseball be the same way? Why can't it be? Well, there didn't used to be opportunities for girls baseball, so they pushed them to softball, but we can grow the sport of baseball alongside the sport of softball, and the two don't need to, exist on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just about out of time. Anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I thank you for being out here and being an advocate for girls baseball. I hope that the girls that are that listen to this know to stay with it, and that they look for the next opportunity, because there's a lot out there, and I know sometimes the parents and the girls don't know about it. So I hope that they will take the opportunity to actually search for what's next. Those of us who are advocates like yourself are constantly trying to share, but we can't get it out fast enough, right? So I hope that everybody, the young girls, just continue to stay with it and push through if that's what their dream is.
That's cool. So I generally give my guests a heads up that I ask you all a final question, and we kind of got caught up talking about the game, so we're going to get blindsided a little bit on this. But I do ask all my guests a final question, and the subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, and it's derived from a song by a guy by the name of Michael Franti, who's actually from the San Francisco area. The song is Gloria, and the opening lyrics go, "When many little people in many little places do many little things, and the whole world changes." So what's one of the little things that Alex does on a daily basis to make the world a little bit better place?
Oh boy, that's such a great question. What's one of the little things I do? Well, as much as I do with girls baseball and in general, and trying to support my players in the little things that they can do, I try to be there for them all the time, but ultimately I truly believe like you can make the biggest impact at home. And so, my boys, the things that I can do with them on a daily basis, I think the little things that I do with them, encouraging them to chase their dreams, is my message just across the board. So in supporting them in what they do and hoping to try to create two wonderful human beings and to add to this world, is just to inspire other girls in any way that I can, to chase their dream and to be somebody who connects them to that in any way I can.
That's cool. That's awesome. So, Alex, again, thank you very much for joining me. Good luck in the championship game. This will be posted long after this, so in my write-up, I'll let our listeners know, win or lose, but good luck. I'll be down there watching it, and I really appreciate you taking the time. And folks out there listening, be sure to check out my blogs and other podcasts at danclouser.com. Alex, once again, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for everything you're doing for these girls.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you being out here.
No problem.